Welcome, everybody, to our monthly second Saturday poetry reading hosted by Kathy Donnelly. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Kerr, and I have the privilege of being the moderator for today's session. If you'd like to participate in the open read, please just enter your name in chat, and we will figure out a way. Anyone who's chat challenged will get you included as well. But if you can get into chat and you want to read, just please go into chat and just put down, "Hey, Dan, I'd like to read." Please keep your microphone muted out of respect for the other poets. You know, it's always a challenge when you're trying to read and there's a phone ringing and there's a side conversation and there's a barking dog and a whole bunch of other things that make noise. Marvin, this is for you. If you want to connect with us or you want to connect with Claude or anyone else, Kathy and I do believe feedback is a gift. So if there's any follow-up about the poetry reading, you can easily send me an email at Daniel B for Basil Kerr, Kerr, at Verizon.net. Kathy and I have been doing this online for about 4 years, and we do continue to refine it based on your feedback, and feedback is a gift. So if you have anything to say, any feedback, any suggestions, any questions, please feel free to just send me an email. Our format is pretty simple. We start at 11 or thereabouts, and we go to about 12. We may flex a little bit because you never know how many people want to participate in the open read, and you don't know how long the poems are, although we do ask that they be less than 5 minutes. I'll get you settled, then I'll turn you over to Kathy, and then Kathy will introduce, after she reads a poem, she'll introduce today's featured poet. Then we'll have the open read, and then we'll call Jay back for an encore, and then Kathy will deliver some closing remarks and announce the next poet, who is actually with us today. We'll announce the next poet for February. This is one of many outreach programs that we do here at All Souls Church. I realize you're here not for evangelization, but for poetry. But what I do is I focus on just 3 things that we do at the church that the poets have participated in and continue to participate in. So we do a monthly concert series called Saturdays at 6. The featured clarinetist is a PhD alumnus from Stony Brook University, internationally known clarinetist, if that's the right term, Catherine Vetter. She'll be performing this evening. You're welcome to join us. That's in the church starting at 6. Someone will call and say, "What time is the Saturdays at 6 concert?" And I'll again remind them it's at 6 o'clock. So the poetry we used to do in the church, we've been doing it on Zoom for the last 4 years. We're likely to continue to do so. And we also do Native American drumming in the church, and actually in our parish house once a month as well. This comes out of the Native American experience. It's a healing experience, thousands of years old. That happens to be our drummer there, Rick Stadler. We do that generally the 4th Thursday of each month. If you have any questions on these things or want to take a deeper dive, there's the website. You can go there and you can get more information on these. Once a year, we combine the poetry and the music and the Native American drumming into one program that was conceived by our fellow poet Carmen Bugan. It's called Conversations of the Sacred. And what we do is we have a limited number of sacred poems from various faith traditions and other secular traditions that are of a spiritual nature. All the readings are done by poets. You'll recognize the list of poets there from last year. So Carmen Bugan got this started a couple of years ago. She handed the baton to Carolyn Emerson. Each year we refresh the spiritual poems that we ask the poets to read. And then after each poem, there's a musical interlude, either from the All Souls organist, Dan Kinney, playing on that 200-year-old urban organ, or you'll have Native American drumming, or you'll have music from students from the university. If you look in the middle there, you'll see the various poets who you'll recognize. We call them up at the end for a picture. Those are the various people that read the poems. Also, once a year, we do a 5K race, 2K walk, and I've updated this. The date this year is October 5th, and we'll be going into our 17th year here. And what this event does is it celebrates the various things that All Souls does in the community. Also raises funds to make the church accessible. You know, when Stanford White combined the church in 1896, when it was built, life expectancy in the U.S. was less than 50 years. I think there's none of us participating today probably wouldn't have made the cut. So accessibility was not on his mind. So there is a steep stairs that people who would like to join us can't make it up those stairs. So, and also we don't have a bathroom in the church. We have to send people next door to the restaurant. So we want to rectify that. So it not only celebrates the role of the church in the community, it raises funds to add a bathroom on the side of the church and also make the church accessible. And every year there is a group called the Live Poets Society. You'll recognize Rabbi Fisher standing there. You'll recognize uh, uh, some of the other poets that are there as well. And they walk each year. There's a group called the Live Poets Society. You're welcome to join them. They'll no doubt be marching this year. So with that, without further ado, I'll turn you over to Kathy. Kathy, over to you.
Thank you. So I'd like to just start with welcoming the people that have come on a Saturday morning, dropped what they're doing to join us. It's really lovely. So Hiram just joined. That's lovely. Wendy and Herb, Margaret, Shu. We have Sherry coming all the way from Virginia. And Richard Bronson is here. Dr. Bronson. Bruce is here. Megan. And the rest of you were here from before. Mike and Claude, Barbara Siegel has come, Maggie, James, Nicola from England. This is her first day, and that's very exciting. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to start with a poem, and I'm sure most of you know this woman, Wisława Szymborska, View with a Grain of Sand. This is her book. I'm going to read a poem from, and what a marvelous writer this woman truly is. It says here, I'm sorry, the name of her poem, Nothing Twice. Nothing can ever happen twice. In consequence, the sorry fact is that we arrive here improvised and leave without the chance to practice. Even if there is no one dumber, if you're the planet's biggest dunce, you can't repeat the class in summer. This course is only offered once. No day copies yesterday. No 2 nights will teach what bliss is in precisely the same way, with exactly the same kisses. One day, perhaps, some idle tongue mentions your name by accident. I feel as if a rose were flung into the room, all you and scent. The next day, though, you're here with me. I can't help looking at the clock. A rose? A rose? What could that be? Is it a flower or a rock? Why do we treat the fleeting day with so much needless fear and sorrow? It's in its nature not to say today is always gone, tomorrow. With smiles and kisses, we prefer to seek accord beneath our star. Although we're different, we concur, just as 2 drops of water are. So it reminds you to mind yourself all day long. Now to introduce our very special poet, good friend, longtime poet, 20 years or more, actor, which he hardly even talks about. His bio is very short and precise. Purveyor of poetic cabaret, curator of the Avant-Garden Poetry Amphitheater, writer, composer, adventurer, romantic, musician, thespian, essayist. Stuff like that. That's how he ends it. Stuff like that. Jay has been entertaining us with his acting, his memorization of Shakespeare, his amphitheater that he built and designed himself. He's an extraordinary talent. I'm very happy to welcome him. So we have here J.G.
Thank you very much, Kathy, and thank you, Daniel. I'm very pleased and happy to be here. Being that today is a very cold January morning, I'm going to start out with some cool poems, and we're going to gradually warm things up. All right, here we go. First of all, am I audible? Can everybody hear me?
Okay. Loud and clear, Jay.
Knee-deep, admiring winter's ballet. Icy pirouettes twirl to an herbal symphony. A spirited blizzard frolics in the morning sky. The world is veiled in fragrant sheets of delicate neutral, transcending ambiguity. Glistening icicles play on the eaves, stalactites of radiant topaz shimmering like stained glass. A light within a grace. I renounce the bitter cliché portrayed erroneously by the literary ghosts of yore. Their words are a fallacy. This is not the season of everlasting death. There is no malice relayed in the whisper of the January wind. No clandestine demons lurk beneath the frost. I refuse to see depression in unparalleled majesty. Perfection. Rosy-cheeked, I shovel out the narrow portal that leads from my chicken noodle haven back to the pungency of civilization. Secretly longing to leave the white dunes when nature intended them. A barrier against society proffering mountaintop freedom. To hibernate in fleecy pajamas until the onslaught of spring dispatches its colorful harbingers. Dragging me from my lair with the hook of a vengeful thaw. But this is a 4WD nation, besot with shoreline myopia, irked by the fallen snow. So I dig to join them, begrudgingly. Hot cocoa Sunday. I peel away my stiff garb as the storm follows me indoors. Arctic souvenirs from the tread of steel-tipped boots embellish the foyer. Snow clouds have beatified the boulevard with their benevolent caress. A glacier blue glaze postponing the commute for another day. I am beguiled once again to think only of love and home. A day enveloped in patchwork vignettes with its myriad refugee snowflakes amassed on my front porch, awaiting the repost of my shovel. A crescent smile surmounts my face. Perhaps I alone appreciate this season and its frosty sojourns. I become entranced by the scenery beyond the stenciled window as the numbness seeds and my toes begin to tingle. Thank you very much. I can hear you clapping, but I can't, I see you clapping, but I can't hear you. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to mix up some of my stuff. That was one of mine. That was called January Whispers, with some classics. See if you know this one. Whose woods these are? I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Thank you.
Robert Frost.
Ink, it flows. Liquid tails unfurl. Shadows on parchment continuous swirl. Black, the very essence of night, captured in droplets, following light. In the hush between words unsaid, concertos composed in silence unread. Every stroke of the pen creates or destroys. A cosmos unfolding, filling the voids. Stream of dreams meanders and seeks through valleys of paper, mountainous peaks. Blood of thought, fluid of soul, ready to render the incomplete whole. Spanning the chasm imagined or real, gaps between that which we think and feel. To dance, to fight, to love, to grieve, in gardens of scribbles, each spot a leaf. The plume, the sword, the writer, the muse, together the power to write and enthuse. Ink, in its boundless seas we find reflections of heart and echoes of mind. Thank you. Gonna warm it up a little bit now. This is called Scalding Purple Horizons. I've been drifting on an ocean of melting purple. Lonely, but never left alone. Searching for a safe port. Keeping a hopeful vigil at the helm. Pushed beyond despair by the scalding waves below. Until the April wind catches my sails and brings me to you. Sail with me on this sea of fire. We'll navigate close to shore to keep you safe from the blaze. I feel the hot winds raging, carrying hot gusts up into my eyes. I would let myself be blinded, just for the moment, to sail these flames with you. Inner visions. Promise of crystal spray to my parched skin. The thought fills my mouth with the sweet taste of caramel clouds. My hopes lie beyond strange horizons. The hot winds continue to rage, charring mast and rudder. A ship floundering, succumbing to melting heat. The bubbles of my purple ocean, waiting and watching. It's you, alone, that sets me free as I run my vessel ashore. Thank you. Okay, let's see if you know this one. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that it sculped well those passions red, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal, these words
Oh,
appear.
my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings.
My name is
Ozymandias,
Ozymandias,
King of Kings.
King of Kings.
Look on my work.
Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Thank you. Okay, so normally when I do a poetry feature, I like to incorporate some classical guitar. And Kathy asked me if I would do that, but the problem is that when I play acoustic guitar on Zoom, my microphone just does not pick it up. So I can't do that today, but as you can see, I'm sort of in a musical museum here. This is all my instruments, so I want to do a little something. So let's see how this works.
Not getting any
I
sound.
can't, yeah, Jay, I can't hear a thing.
You have to go to your audio settings with Zoom and turn on original sound for musicians.
Yeah, I had a feeling that wouldn't work, but I tried.
It's always good to experiment. Keep going.
Were you able to hear anything?
No.
No,
No, not a sound.
Oh, well,
that is me.
And let's not go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure it out. Let's just
no. Well, that heated things up. So let's continue with this one. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent, in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to do one more piece, and this is something very new, so I don't have it memorized, but I would like to read it anyway. This is called A Quiet Bloom. Under ink-streaked skies, the city hums in hushed rhythms, rain softening the edges of a world that turns away. She moves through the quiet, steps slowed by the damp, a shopping cart creaking beside her. Vessel of fragments, blankets that shield from the cold, tins wrapped tight in old newspaper, scraps of a life once lived by someone else. Her tent awaits by the bridge, patched with hope, threadbare with fatigue. She turns down an alley, behind a florist's shop, where refuse sprawls around overstuffed garbage cans. Among the littered remnants of discarded days, she spies it. A rose. Petals wilted, edges brown, but still in the heart of the bloom, there is red. It clings to its color, its scent, its story. She reaches out, fingers rough and trembling, lifting the flower from the trash, careful as though it might break under the weight of the world. A flower tossed aside, forgotten. She cradles it close, as if to say, I see you. I know what it is to be left behind. She tucks it into her cart, nestling among her treasures, its modest beauty sparking a flame deep in the hollow of her chest. As she walks back toward her tent beneath the bridge, the evening softens around her, and the rose reminds her, even in this world's darkest corner, life refuses to fade. And she, too, will keep blooming. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been my pleasure. Very enjoyable.
That's
Thank
great, Jay, and we will definitely bring you back for an encore after the open read. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Just really all the poems that you read, you know, that the music involved in a snowstorm, and you got the vision of the guy looking beyond his window, and then the hook of civilization taking him out of his lyre, you know, very impactful. And that beautiful poem, I think it was from Robert Frost, that was Richard Bronson's guess about the miles to go on the horse. And also that beautiful poem, I didn't know who the author was, about the flowing ink and the blood of thought. That was it was a classic.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't know that was yours or some other poet. And you know, the shattered visage in the sand. I had to put out of my mind that vision from Planet of the Apes. You know, when they see the Statue of Liberty.
Oh yeah,
kind of reminded me of that. And the scaling, the purple. Anyone who's spent any time on the water and has ever run aground, I mean, very powerful and very powerful poem. And of course, that I think that Robert Frost poem, you know, the two roads. For many people, including myself, that's probably the first poem that they remember, and they always remember from their youth. And it's nice to revisit that. And that beautiful poem at the end with the rose clinging to its color and it lightening up the world of the woman under the bridge. Just all very powerful stuff and read very beautifully. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Kathy.
Okay, we will bring you back.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to the open read, and we do have a number of new people today. So I wouldn't call these rules, but I guess you could say they are parameters. So if you want to read, enter your name in chat. And if you're chat challenged, don't worry. I get the end. I want to read. We will find a way to get everyone who wants to read. We're committed to inclusivity here. So we'll get everyone, but what I'll do is I will call the people to read in the order that they appear in the chat, and I will call you in groups of 3. And if your name doesn't appear in the chat or I miss anyone, rest assured we will get you in. Okay? Please, only one poem and maximum of 5 minutes. That's the only way that this works. So please observe the discipline and our etiquette here. One poem of less than 5 minutes. Please keep your microphone muted. I'm not going to pick at anyone, but when Jay was reading a couple of times, I had to go in and I had to turn off people's microphones. Please don't put your microphone on unless you're reading, because the background noise, not only is the background noise distracting, but if you put your microphone on, then the video camera switches to you as well, which kind of undermines the quality of the video that we send out. Please wait to be called upon to read. I will call the group, I'll call you to read in groups of 3. And when we exhaust the list in chat, we'll make sure that we get everyone who wants to read, make them read. Okay, so we're going to call them, as I said, in groups of 3. And the first group of 3 includes Marvin, who always goes first because he's the most challenged, and our guest, Nicola, who's got to get to church, and our guest from England. So there'll be Marvin, followed by Nicola, followed by Barbara Siegel. So Marvin, over to you.
This is for Jay, who loves English bulldogs. This was Albert, my daughter's late English bulldog. And here's another one for Jay, Albert again. Okay. So we go from English bulldogs to a lot of bull. Here we go. This poem is called Uprooted. Is this a hair I see before me, mocking me from the sink to which it has fallen? Now I am completely shorn, not by my hand, but by nature of my genes, as it lies there in the basin. Do I turn the faucet on and wash it from my eyes to punish it for its betrayal of my scalp? Or do I rescue it and place it in an album or in a frame like baby's first cut lock? My friend Harry has hair for an army, gray, yes, but standing tall and proud, a mane fit for a god. And yet here I am defrocked of what many consider one's manliness. I see myself in this bathroom mirror as a lad with golden hair, worn with a flip at the front. How handsome, how grand. And this dissolves in what appears but a young man starting his career, already combing his hair in a frenzied manner to cover what is no longer there. Now the middle-aged one appears, and he is bald except for sideburns and a tuft at the back. Now I see the elderly man's fallen strand, stranded in the porcelain. Revenge? Wash it down with all the heat I could muster? Or has it revenged itself on me, cool in its smugness of victory? A toupee? A weave? Minoxidil? No, I want what was mine. I feel raped, losing part of me. Face up, old chap. Be a man. Was that me? Or the mirror talking? The mirror doesn't lie. You still look good. Not George Clooney good, but you'll do. You'll serve. Oh, well, my hair is gone, but I'm still here.
Well done, Marvin. Thank you. And you do still have some hair on your head. I do see a few strands.
That was very funny, Marvin.
Thanks.
Nicola, over to you. Just got to turn your microphone on.
Right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep, good. Okay, this one is called The Spindle's Thread. It was written last year in February. Drop the spindle, tease the thread. Old hands work with practiced skill. Drop the spindle, tease the thread. Daughter of my daughter, listen to me well. When green spring comes and the red kites soar, and music flows from the hollow hills, the lord of the fair folk holds his court, the silken web of an ancient dance. He reaches out his hand to you, his sky blue eyes invite you in. Daughter of my daughter, do not dance with him, for he will steal your youth away. Drop the spindle, tease the thread, recalling memories of a long past day. Drop the spindle, tease the thread. Daughter of my daughter, listen to me well. When summer comes to the close green wood and owls glide on silent wings, carried on the night breeze, soft as loving, sweet as honey, the song of silver bridal bells ring out. The Lord of the fair folk rides the night. Do not look into his moss-green eyes, for he will wake desires, longings that the wise should shun. Daughter of my daughter, heed him not, for he will be your ruin. Drop the spindle, tease the thread, living memory of a long past love. Drop the spindle, tease the thread. Daughter of my daughter, listen to me well. When autumn comes with harvest rich, and hares race on golden fields, when stars glitter in the frosty night, the wild hunt rides. The Lord of the fair folk, crowned with russet leaves, his eyes brown as a peat bog, ready to suck you in. Daughter of my daughter, bar the doors, build up the fire, or he will hunt you down. Drop the spindle, tease the thread, weep anew for love betrayed. Drop the spindle, tease the thread. Daughter of my daughter, listen to me well. When winter comes, tasting of tin, and snow like lace drifts softly down, then I shall wait by the salt sea shore, old hands spinning threads of life. The Lord of the fair folk will greet me as an equal there, my love, my life, my fate. And then, at last, I will look into his sea-grey eyes. Drop the spindle, tease the thread. Drop the spindle, cut the thread. There you go.
Well done, Nicola. That was a real treat. Okay. Thank you for joining us. And come back again. Nicola, thank you. And now Barbara Siegel.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. That was just lovely. And with your lovely English accent, I felt like I was in another world. It was like a ballad. Very, very beautiful. So I have something contemporary. I just got a box 2 nights ago with my new chapbook in it. It's called Shelter, and I'm going to read one of the poems from it. Okay. My door moves at times by no human hand, opens, closes. Night's mystery brings dreams of wisdom and defeat. Rest elusive, sleep a ghost of awakening. New moon, gleaming stars, deep sky. Wind shifts, energizes, chimes ring and clang. I dream a friend is a young child swimming alone underwater, meeting the creatures of the river. Do I need to dive in? Do I need to save her? I wake, living these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. The next group of 3 is Sherry, followed by Megan, followed by Dan Kerr. Sherry, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Kathy and Dan, for hosting us. And Jay, I could listen to you read all day. You're just magic. Thank you for being here. I'm going to read. This is from Walt's Corner. It's called Lub Dub, Lub Dub, Lub Dub. What happens when people can't hear their heart anymore? Or worse, cling to noisy cymbals, becoming deaf to famine and fear. Let thunderous sirens drown hollow places that ache. or close their eyes to atrocities breaking spirits near and far. Yet we have to face ugly truths, unveil places needing light, notice vanishing lees of humanity, seek hope echoing in the chambers of despair. Love when loving seems impossible. Let shifts in perspective reveal mending possibilities in the lub-dub area of when we hear hearts pound. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Megan, over to you.
Thanks. Great to be here. This is called Labradorite Whispers. You met me, like you met the smooth orb of me on a dusty shelf of polished stones in a gift shop in Labrador and Newfoundland, Canada. At first touch, you want to dive into my cerulean luminescence, your mind captured by my resemblance to the northern lights you'll never see. You roll my name around your mouth. You love that it sounds like your favorite breed of dog, that I'm both the color of sea and sky. You feel a kinship with my shifting hues because you can't decide which next step to take in your shimmery life. I know you think feeling the warmth from your palms sink into my coolness will give you peace, but it won't. The truth is, I've never lived, though I've existed longer than you have. I can only tell you the light will draw out your colors, and your heart will find and create your own aurora borealis of moments. We are both collections of invisible layers. One day, our calcium-rich bodies will exist in other forms, will continue to glow, since nothing is destroyed, only transformed. Thanks.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, we all know one another in different capacities, and I don't talk about it too much, but I'm actually a lay minister in the Episcopal Church. And so I have an interest not only in the poetry of politics and history, but also was invited to make a submission to Poets of the Promise, which is an annual publication of spiritual poems. And I'm proud to see that in this publication, I was joined by Jay and Marguerite and J.R. Turek, members of this community. So this poem is called My Top 10 Bible Characters. And here goes. Scholars tell us there are 3,257 characters in the Bible. Who are your top 10? Who are the ones whose stories most resonate with you? Adam was the first man. He exchanged paradise for death and taught us all how to sin. Joseph had the love of his father and that amazing dream coat, was sold into slavery by his jealous brothers, and taught us how to forgive those who have wronged us. Moses was slow of speech and tongue and given to fits of anger, but God was called by God to convince Pharaoh to let his people go, and led them through the Red Sea and across the desert to the promised land. Job lost his health, his family, and his possessions, taught us all that bad things happen to good people, and the importance of keeping your faith in times of trial. Jonah tried to run away from God's call, spent 3 days in the belly of the great fish for his disobedience, and was freed from his watery prison when he repented. Mary Magdalene was cured by Jesus of 7 demons, stood at the foot of the cross while others fled, and was the very first to declare, "He has risen." Thomas taught us that we can have faith, be devoted to the Gospels, and still have doubts. Martha, the sister of Lazarus and Mary, taught us the danger of worrying about everything instead of focusing on what is truly important. Saul was blinded by the light on the road to Damascus and was transformed from a vicious persecutor of Christians into Paul, the most powerful voice for the gospel. While Adam lost paradise, Jesus restored it, perfect sacrifice for all of our sins. Who are your top 10 characters in the Bible? The ones whose stories most resonate with you? And what lessons have you learned from their stories? Thank you. Okay, the next group of 3 is Richard Bronson, followed by Maggie, followed by James. So Richard, over to you.
Okay, so the poem I'm going to read came to mind yesterday, actually, when I was walking by a pond and saw ice on the pond. And it's been a long time since there was enough ice I could skate on it. And this poem came to mind. Doc Blades. Doc Blades, he's called, wears his speed skates barefoot. He's an orthopedic surgeon, so I've heard, but wouldn't know. And they say, beware, his blades will cut you if you're slow. And ask him why he skates. He'll tell you about the long glides, strong strides, steel on ice, proud of the pack, full moon howl, flying through the night, mantra of the blade, heat of the mead, rhythm of the motion. And I thought I heard him say as he raced away, high on ice, the stars sing me their ecstasies.
Thank you, Richard. Beautiful and very timely. Maggie, over to you.
Thank you. Oh, Jay, that was wonderful. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kathy. This poem is called Just One Time. I want to try psilocybin mushrooms. I want a white light spiritual experience, to be blinded for a moment by God's shining luminescence, or a trick of the retina. I want to know, to pin down my various selves into one perfectly formed me, like the Stanford professor who claims one dose of magic mushrooms changed her life and made her whole. I want to lose ambivalence, ambiguity, to be sure for the short rest of my life that I will meet with those I love in heaven, on a cloudy corner, or in a celestial poker game organized by God himself, who will no doubt be aware of the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Okay, we have James from North Carolina who does have some technical issues, but James, if you could try your mic, floor is yours. And if you can't get in, I can read it for you. James?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're on. It'll be your voice, not mine, James. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, let me find it first. See, I can't find out to have you read it.
Okay, so this is a poem by James, and it's called, what's the title, James?
California Fires.
California Fires, certainly very timely. So here goes. Person burned to death in a wheelchair with a hose handle held in hand. Cars actually melted from severe heat. Baby grand piano burnt up. Coins and jewelry melted. Pictures and albums burned up. Stamp books and music pages burned up. Pets destroyed in fire. Entire school, church, and park all burnt up. Amen. Thank you, James. Okay, next group of three we have is Herb, followed
Dan,
by
can
Mike
we-
Daly, followed by Don Billings.
Can we address the person whose mic is open? You were interrupted.
I turned them off. I'll turn them off here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kathy, for that. Please keep your mic muted. So I've been trying the best I can to turn it off. No one should have their mic on. So Herb, I'm going to turn your mic off, not to pick on you. Now you can turn it back on, Herb. Go ahead. Herb, followed by Mike, followed by Don. Go ahead, Herb.
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. Winter to Lorenda. A little while to walk with you, dear love, to lean on you, my light and happy head. Then winter comes. The shrunken sun above each thinning tree is gray. Each leaf's long dead. A little while to hold you and to stand by stubbled fields of once tall golden corn. Now the predestined silence, and your hand lost to me. Nights are frozen and forlorn. Too little time to love you, hardly time to love you well enough. Then we must part. I walk through winter fields alone and climb the hill where you lie with my broken heart. Short summertime, too soon my heart's desired, come winter and its darkness. One by one, rose petals dropped and quickly dried, expired below the slow decadence of the sun. Thank you.
Thank you, Herb. Beautiful. Okay, Mike Daly, over to you.
Morning, everyone. I'm going to read you a poem with a little bit of history in it. If you've ever been in New Mexico, you've got to stop by some of the pueblos, some of the reservations. They're beautiful places. This is about the Red Willow Reservation. You may not tell it by this place, but we were once a mighty race, Indian chiefs and warrior braves, following the ancient ways. Long before the Spanish came, Red Willow was our chosen name. We settled in this mountain valley too many years ago to tally. Here along Red Willow Creek, a peaceful life was all we'd seek. But all of that was bound to change here in the Sana de Cristo Range. For when the Spanish wandered in, all our troubles did begin. They built a church, taught us to pray in the Spanish Catholic way. They said there was no God but He, and ancient times were not to be. But underneath our faith facade, we honored Anastasi gods. We went to church, we knelt, we prayed, but true to ancient ways we stayed. For years and years we got along. The Spanish taught our gods long gone. And so they baptized, so they preached, until at last the trust was breached. Our medicine men were put to death. Collectively, we held our breath. We couldn't take another day living in the Spanish way. We called the tribes in nearby lands and told them of our new laid plans. Soon Indians from all around revolted when the sun went down. We didn't have that far to search. The Spanish gathered at their church. We burnt the church. The walls caved in. We looked upon them now as sin. And by the time the war cries stilled, 400 Spanish had been killed. 2,000 more were driven out, feared for their lives without a doubt. We burned all statues, churches, crosses, Pueblo leaders now the bosses. With Spanish gone, we went back to doing things we used to do. Our freedom lasted just 12 years. The Spanish once again appears. They came back, this time in force. New Mexico would change its course. A battle here, a battle there. Eventually, we learned to share. Substantial land grants were allowed to each Pueblo Indian crowd. Franciscan priests also returned, respect and understanding earned. And still today, we coexist, but not within the Blue Lake mist. For that is now the sacred land reserved for the Red Willow Band. But here along Red Willow Creek, we welcome all who knowledge seek. For here within Pueblo lands, the ways of ancient people stands. Our homes are made of mud and straw. Our water from a creek we draw. Our food we gather from the field. Red Willow life of old revealed. We've houses old, 1,000 years, preserved by love and blood and tears. We've art like our ancestors did, nothing of past lives we hid. When day is done, we pray you learn, and that someday you will return. Thank you.
It was beautiful, Mike. I couldn't help but thinking about our Native American drumming program that we do, and the fact that we're all on a spiritual journey, and a book that was given to me by our drummer, which was called God is Red, which looks at spirituality from the perspective of Native Americans. Just beautiful. You captured that all. Okay, Don, over to you.
My poem I didn't know that James was going to do the poem about the California fires, but my poem relates to that. This was written in 2019. It's called Voting for Destruction. Perhaps you don't know much about science, and you don't know a millibar from a millimeter. Did you listen to the con man who said climate change was a hoax? Oh yes, the ocean is warming, moisture is rising, and the winds are driving towns to destruction. You never measured ocean temperatures and never studied winds. Did you believe the con man who said climate change was a hoax? Would you vote for such a man? Unfortunately, many people did.
Thank you, Don. Okay. Marguerite, followed by Hiram, and then we'll pick up anyone that we missed. So Marguerite, over to you. There
Thank you,
are.
Dan. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, JJ. Sorry, my cat's meowing in the background. This is titled Firestorm of Prayers. News reports call them hurricanes of fire over California. These blowtorches of misery, so angry in LA, fueled by Santa Ana winds. SoCal, its victim. Homes, cars, pets, people destroyed in their paths. Firefighters fight multiple wildfires, running out of water. Endless wind, their enemy. Silent prayers I recite, watching the news, reading social media, receiving text messages. My ex-boyfriend, Scott, an actor in LA, receives evacuation texts as I call to check in. They end up fake, looters ready for break-ins. A high school classmate, MTV producer, records with his phone a helicopter above a mountain as one fire creeps. Excuse me, sorry. I have to reread it. I'm sorry. I dropped my phone. My cat got in the way.
Take two. Take two.
Take two. Firestorm of prayers. News reports call them hurricanes of fire over California. These blowtorches of misery, so angry in LA, fueled by Santa Ana winds, Southern Cal, its victim, homes, cars, pets, people destroyed in their paths. Firefighters fight multiple of wildfires, running out of water, endless wind, their enemy. Silent prayers I recite, watching the news, reading social media, receiving text messages. My ex-boyfriend, Scott, in LA, receives an evacuation text as I call to check in. All of them end up fake, looters ready for break-ins. A high school classmate, MTV producer, records with his phone a helicopter above as one fire creeps in from the Palisades. Only 2 miles away from his home and family, he thanks emergency services for their efforts. I put on my California hoodie, brought at LAX airport, take selfies wearing it with my hands cupped in the shape of a heart. Show love across the country because my arms can't reach from New York to the Golden State. To help, to hug, to love. Famous celebrities, Billy Crystal, John Goodman, among those who lost their homes, their livelihood, as flames burned behind Hollywood's famous sign. A privilege I had, seeing it on a tour. This place threatened by shaken earthquakes, instead rocked by an unimaginable event. The only water I provide are my tears as I pray for miracles, pray for safety, pray for an end to extinguish this nightmare.
Thank you, Marguerite. Very well done and very timely.
Thank you.
Okay. So I did miss somebody. So it's Hiram and followed by Claude. So Hiram, over to you.
Thank you. And thanks to those who have organized this, Dan and Kathy, and to Jay for showcasing some of his wonderful work, as well as work by others. This poem first appeared in a journal called Live Encounters, and it's about the wonder of elder years and their confusion. It's titled Country Stores. I live in meanwhile. My time frays with its undoing. My breath slantly sighs, and these turning pages just suggest me. I hide in the midst of and peek through jaunts or schemes. My sacks are packed full of longed for. My train whistles, and I travel towards wishing on halfway between. Better said, I love country stores that sell that smell of then or just so. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Hiram. That was great. There's a country store in in St. James that still has that smell in the air. Took me right back there. Okay, Claude, over to you.
Yeah, what about the smell in the five and dimes? They always have a special smell, although maybe young people don't even know about it.
There was one in Northport, I remember.
Yeah. All right. There's an atomic element number 41 called niobium, named after the daughter of Tantalus in Greek mythology. And niobium you can find in Greenland. Trump, 10 days before inauguration number 2. I'm flexing my muscles to control the levers of power. I was president once. Now I'll be that again a few days after tomorrow. When we can make America great, annex Greenland and Canada, reclaim the Panama Canal for strategic purposes, for economic security. When the snow melts, cobalt, lithium, copper, niobium can be mined for Elon's batteries, for his Tesla cars. We want to make America healthy again, despite 15,000 corrupt doctors protesting my nomination of RFK Jr., who'll clean up the country, fire useless bureaucrats, refocus or eliminate agencies like the CDC, the NIH, the FDA, bought by Big Pharma. I'll change all our karma. Imperialist eco warriors agreeing with me every step of the way, kissing my ring as my imagination surges.
Thank you, Claude. Okay, I'm going to now go around the group. Let me change the view here. Kathy, help me with this.
Okay.
Is there anyone who wanted to read other than Kathy who hasn't had a chance to read? Just wave your hand. Shu, I know you're a suspect, and I see Jerry.
Jerry.
You.
Okay, so let's go with Jerry, and then we'll see if we pick up anyone else. Shu, is that a yes from you, or are you just here to listen today? Shu? Guess she's just listening today.
Oh,
Yes,
she's
she's one.
waiting.
Okay, so let's go to Jerry, and then we'll go to Shu. Jerry, they're all yours.
Okay, this is called Seven Fishes. There's always the blank page, but not an empty table at Christmas. The fiber optic lights didn't shine this year on my pre-decorated tree I bought at Fortunoff's 20 years ago. My father was alive then. He cooked 7 fishes. The lobster went into the pot, the calamari frying in a light batter, my mother next to him dropping the crabs into the sauce. Her sauce was the best, we shouted, knowing it would instigate my father to brag about his calamari. Then, with a teasing voice, he would turn to my mother, asking her if she dropped the crabs in. My brother dangling shrimp in his mouth, the kids squirming for dessert, anticipating chocolate cake, chocolate ice cream, chocolate everything. The trees was tall, lights were bright, black coffee, anisette. The night was late with memories.
Thank you, Jerry. That was great. My wife is Italian, and we used to go to Brooklyn every Christmas Eve for the Feast of the
There you
Fishes.
go.
And I learned to say when the old ladies would ask, "Did you try the bacalao?" I always say, "I did, and it was delicious."
I could not tolerate bacala. Thank you very much for the read. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank
You
you.
got to be over 80 to like that. So,
Yes.
Okay, Shu, over to you, Shu. If you want to read, let us know. Shu, you got to remember to put your mic on.
Good morning, everyone. Such a great morning to enjoy. So I'm reading it. The title is Tomorrow. Tomorrow only exists when you reach it. A fleeting dream that springs alive. It hides beyond the edge of sight. A whispered promise in the night. No map can chart its unseen seas. No winds foretell its shifting breeze. Its wistful steps you have yet to take, a fragile thread you will gently wake. For time unfolds with every breath, a quiet dance with life and death. The past is fading, present is playing, and yet tomorrow softly clings. So that it rests, don't rush its flight. The dawn will break when it is right. Each moment here, each step, each kiss, each scene, each dance, each tear, each is how tomorrow will exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Shu. And I do believe feedback is a gift, and it's always a pleasure to have you read. Your stuff is always well done, but your ability to read it very clearly and concisely has really improved as well. We really appreciate it. So always look forward to your reading.
So much. I really appreciate it. And I have such a wonderful group to join and share.
Thank you. Okay, Kathy, over to you.
Yeah, that was quite beautiful, Shu, I must say. I just see Wendy's name. I don't see her. I don't know if she wanted to read. Wendy?
I think she had to leave early.
Okay, all righty. So I do have a poem, and it's with in mind that we lead our lives and most fortunately look at a lot of disaster on the television and not in our homes. What's going on in California is it's beyond. No water in the fire hydrants, not enough firemen. It's terribly sad to watch it burn, and they had it 0% contained as of last night. I mean, they need rain, and we would be so glad to share some of ours, wouldn't we? Most unfortunate. This is a poem called It's Only Morning. She feels the fatigue of the day that has only begun. Not a single moment to herself to take a breath all the way in, all the way out. Making the breakfast hungry kids halfway out the door, their lunches, husbands too. When they leave, there are dishes. She can clean up, leaving no meals for the ants. The dog needs to go out. She takes him on return. Her husband's car won't start. She pulls her nightgown over her head, throws on nothing she wants to be seen in, pushes a brush through the nest in the back of her head. A ponytail will do. Jumps into her passenger seat. He's in a hurry. She feels his angst all the way in. Finally, a slower pace. She thinks, I do not want to feel tired. There's so much to do. Rush hour traffic. She leans forward, turns on the radio. Wars raging, people losing everything they have, family, homes, neighborhoods. She thinks of her life, chaos, but bearable. She'll contribute to whomever is collecting.
Thank you, Kathy. Well done. Okay, Jay, you ready for your encore?
Sure. Am I audible again?
You are audible.
Yes, you are.
And apologies for any analogy to Sunset Boulevard, but you ready for your close-up?
Okay. Okay, this right here, Marvin, is Esmeralda. And we also have a parakeet. His name is Skittles. And sometimes Skittles goes off into a singing tangent, and that sets Esmeralda off, and she starts barking and can't turn herself off, no matter what we do. And that happened while I was featuring about 35 minutes ago, and gladly, like, none of that was picked up on the microphone. And, you know, that's a funny thing, but not quite as funny as what Margaret had to deal with it. That was classic, like looking through your cat's legs at your mouth, just like, I loved it. I need the video of that. Okay, I'll close us out with a piece called The Littlest of Things. The anxious sun slips in through the terrace window, an incandescent nudge opening your somnolent eyes. I'm here to greet you with a tender kiss for the new day. It's just a small matter. The midday zephyr wafts up a spirited hunger, chasing us indoors. And from across the table of our soupy repast, I take your silky hand in mine, tracing the silhouette of your fingers with my thoughts, lovingly. It's only a scant gesture. The amethyst moon casts its frivolous shine upon the afghan of our connubial bed. I cradle you affectionately, in the lee of my arms and the vastness of my heart. It's the littlest of things. Always I allow the fireflies of remembrance to bathe my consciousness in their delicate strobe, a constant reminder to make the small things matter. One morning, your eyes may not open. One afternoon, your hand may not be there for me to hold. One evening our bed may be empty, and I alone, with only memories to keep me warm. Every passing instant we become self-crucifixion for the small moments I let elapse, not seized, and would never have again. I love you eternally, just in case I neglected to mention it today. Thank you very much.
Beautiful ending, Jay. Well done.
Thank you.
Kathy, over to you for any parting words and the announcement of the next poet.
I just want to say this has been an extraordinary morning. I mean, if we all commented on these poems, we'd be here for a couple of days, I think. Some of them worthy of great in-depth look and discussion, but we don't have time for that. And it's Saturday morning. You all want to move on, of course. So I'll just say thank you, all of you, for coming and reading. We have one of our own this time, next in February, Bruce Johnson. He, I think, has disappeared off the screen. I always wonder if Building Bridges is on for today. Is he here? No, he's not. And no Building Bridges, Richard? Not today. So that will start up and it comes right after us. So we lose a few people on the way. Anyway, Bruce is a remarkable poet. I'm so proud to have him next month. I hope you'll come and take a listen. He comes here and he reads sometimes. So you already might know his work a little. And if you do, great. And if you don't, come next month. We'll see you then. And very proud to have him coming. So Jay, thank you, thank you. You are an amazing, amazing reader and writer and actor. So thank you. Remarkable how your brain can remember these poems you memorize. It's very unique. Not too many people do that. So thank you for your reading. What's that?